Me now, great pleasure, Congressman Lee Zeldin, Republican candidate for New York governor. Lee, it's great to have you here. Whatever Governor Hochul may or may not say, there is this huge crime problem in New York. There is a huge crime problem all across the country. We are a national show. We have this awful slain cab driver story, and you yourself were attacked. You fended him off. You look pretty good, thank heavens. Anyway, what you saying about crime?
And then on top of that, too, the stabbing of Salman Rushdie over the weekend.
Oh, right.
You have these New Yorkers who are crying out. It doesn't matter whether you're Republican, Democrat, Independent. Doesn't matter what county you're from. People want to feel safe on our streets and our subway. And in order for people to want to stay here in New York, you need elected leaders to be defending law-abiding citizens, supporting law enforcement. Here in New York, they've implemented cashless bail, which that's been eroding public safety. You have prosecutors like the Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg refusing to enforce the law. We've also had issues with some lax judges. There was the case where this person was killed, a Goldman Sachs employee shot to death in Staten Island. In that case, the prosecutor was asking for bail, and the lax judge put the person back out on the streets. People right now are waking up on a Monday morning. And this was something that we were all experiencing nationally, watching the headlines coming out of Chicago. For a while, we'd wake up on a Monday morning, we would see what was going on in Chicago, and that felt like a little ways away for New Yorkers. But now it's hitting so close to home. And Kathy Hochul, she's not doing anything about it. We say repeal cashless bail. She says there's no data to support it. We say fire Alvin Bragg. She says he just got there, cut him some slack. He's doing his job. We want leaders to take control of this effort. But Kathy Hochul's not doing it.
Why is it the Democratic Party, in general, nationwide here in New York, never seems to support the cops, the blue line? Why is that?
There's no excuse for it.
I mean...
And there are people who are out there, activist base supporters, volunteers, donors, who are encouraging Democratic candidates, Democratic elected officials to change their priorities up and to be trying to defend criminals. We have an issue, too, in New York where this new law was passed called the HALT Act, where our corrections officers now, since it went into effect April 1st, have been getting assaulted more than before. And inmates are getting attacked more. And what did Kathy Hochul do to combat that? Actually, just a few days ago, she signed a new law saying you can't say inmates anymore. You have to refer to them as incarcerated individuals. Like, who are we fighting for? What about the correctional officer who is getting roughed up at work? Maybe we should be fighting for them. The discovery law changes that have law enforcement officers quitting and prosecutors leaving their positions. We should be unapologetically backing our men and women in blue. And then we watch the video where that NYPD officer is in the subway, gets into a fight with a 16-year-old who was just released on a violent robbery 3 days earlier. And after that fight, this kid goes back in front of the judge and has the nerve to ask the judge whether or not he could press charges against the officer.
I know.
This is so backwards. And the governor doesn't have the backs of the men and women in blue. And it shouldn't be an issue of contrast. This should be a no-brainer. All of us should be backing these selfless, dedicated men and women.
Last minute, Lee Zeldin. This bill that Biden is signing today, I think, will raise New York taxes and New York energy costs.
That's right. And New Yorkers can't afford it. And it's just a whole nother new added burden. Life in New York is tough as it is, and that's why people are leaving. I've posed the question to the governor that she should complete the sentence. It would be very informative. New York leads the entire country in population loss because. Complete the sentence.
And she never.
She can't. She doesn't. And that's about being honest with the people. This Inflation Reduction Act, I mean, they come up with that name, like you have to support it because it's called the Inflation Reduction Act. I think it's a Democrat Reduction Act. I think that the Democrats are going to lose control of Congress in November because of the taxing and the spending their country can't afford.
There you go.
On these far left priorities.
Lee Zeldin, running for governor of New York. Great stuff.